sandwich face.
And 3, 2, 1.
Everybody, welcome to Get Your Paint On this Thursday. I am Jordan, our studio painter here at Privateer Press. With me, I have our guests, Jeff Olson.
Thank you.
And Tony Konachek.
Good morning.
A couple of announcements here we're going to go over before we get into the painting of this here Hammerklak model, which I think we showed off pretty recently at Gamma?
Probably.
Well, solicited a while ago, so you guys have seen it, but this is the real one. So stream schedule, just to kind of go over that a little bit. Get Your Paint On, obviously, Thursdays at 10 a.m. Thanks for joining us. Dev Hangout, we got Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. Staff Showdown, April 12th. Now we have an actual date for that.
Actual date,
And
yeah.
that's going to be like kind of going like monthly, and we're going to be figuring that as we go.
And that's going to be a War Machine game.
Yeah.
That is? Do you
That is
know
going to
who's
be War
playing
Machine.
in that?
Yeah, it's going to be Jeff versus Hungy.
All right. Sorry, Hungerford, you're going to get crushed. Putting my dollars down here, boys.
My boy. Excuse me.
We got Primecast Live March 22nd.
That's tomorrow.
Which is tomorrow. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Hopefully it's cool. Probably will be.
I don't know.
At 10.
I don't think I'm on it. I think it's worth noting that next week we're like all gone in
Yes.
Adepticon.
Yes.
So
both myself and Jeff will be at Adepticon.
So I think the
some
slight
other
change
folks.
to this schedule is Get Your Paint On is not happening.
Yeah, we
Yes,
won't.
that's
we will
true.
not be having Get Your Paint On next week.
But-
sorry.
Wednesday. You tell us, Tony. This is your gig.
Instead of the Dev Hangout, because
Yeah.
all the devs are going to be at Adepticon, we are going to have Doug Seacat with CFAX Live.
Yeah,
We're-
CFAX Live.
It's called Lore Hangout, but it's CFAX Live.
should be
It's going to be
CFAX
Doug
Live,
talking about some stuff, and if you have Doug-related questions,
Yeah.
that is the time to
Probably
send them
talking
to him.
about some cool Monpoc stuff. Probably talking about Infernals. Probably just talking about whatever the heck Doug wants to talk about.
Yeah, I'm not even sure he knows what he's going to talk about, but
He'll just come up with something.
Yeah, he'll have something.
Fantastic. Next thing we've got Lock and Load tickets are still available. June 21st, 23rd. Book your calendars for that weekend. Rather.
Yes.
Tickets are on sale now. I am still unfamiliar with what the status is on the
Hotel block?
Hotel block.
Yeah,
but
you
it's
know,
probably
I know we
sold out.
talked about it last time, and I
All right.
have forgotten to check
Listen,
in on that.
It's
I am
probably
very
sold
lazy.
out. Double check just in case. But what have you. We've got the Hobby and Terrain blog
Oh, yeah.
that Danny operates and runs.
Oh, man.
Showing off this sweet new table that he's making for Lock and Load this year. You can see
also
some of
see
these photos here.
Video of him cutting holes in
With
wood.
his skill software.
This is it's a very common thing for him to do is use some power tools around the office. So yeah, check that out. He updates that pretty frequently, like almost on the daily from my recollection. With the sweet happenings of his little mini studio there. Next thing we got MiniCrate. The March MiniCrate or May.
What month is this?
Whatever month.
Now we're into April now.
Yeah.
Jeez, it's been a rough morning.
The March Seeker Silence ended last week,
Yes.
so if
Yes.
you didn't get it, you missed it. Sorry.
But it's cool because the next one, we've got the Guardian Angel, Ancestral Guardian Angel. It's a replacement for the Ancestral Guardian model for Scorn. That ends March 19th.
April. Wait.
Yeah, April 19th.
Yes.
Typo on the sheet. You're killing me. April 19th, folks.
It's March 30th.
Oh, I'm batting 1,000 this morning.
If it had ended March 19th, y'all would have missed out. So you got a month. Have fun. We got Bayushi Shoujo. Shouju.
Yes. Scorpion Clan Champion.
Scorpion Clan Champion, and we've got the VIP subscription, which is the Bride of Arcadius, which is actually one of my favorite models that we've done for MiniCrate.
Yep.
I
She's right up there with
absolutely
the
love this model.
Totem Huntress.
Yes, she's Totem Huntress kind of edges her out a little bit, but Bride of Arcadius is really sweet. So
She's holding a tiny little pig.
It helps that I'm an Arcadius player too, so.
yes, absolutely. So get those while you can, and let's go ahead and get into today's model. So. We got our good old Hammerklak here. Studio One's already done. We had it at Gamma. You guys may have seen a couple of photos of that. This is one that we're going to be painting for our staff showdowns, I believe.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
he will show up in May.
sweet.
In a live battle for your viewing
live
pleasure.
battle. So we're just going to get this guy done.
Should be like Russell. We should have like you know, when we have like the staff showdowns, we should have like a mic come down, have the person and like have it be like WrestleMania or something like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, game plan for this is we're just gonna stipple on this kind of like rust effect. So we're gonna create some like textured browns and oranges on all the bits that are supposed to be that color. This is Umbral Umber right here, so we're just getting in there, gonna stipple it on, and then we're gonna paint the skin afterwards.
Now, Hammerklak he's a destroyer, right?
Yes.
He's a bad guy.
He used to be Defenders before?
I don't know. I'm not a Mompoc. I'm not a previous Mompoc expert, so I think he's a really cool model, though. I'm pretty excited for him. I have not had a chance to play him myself when he was going through some testing and stuff, but I did actually watch a game. I believe Oz and Faye were playing around with like Hammerklak and some Crack Noctis the other day, testing out some other cool stuff coming out.
What color did you say this was, Jordan?
This is Umbral Umber.
Umber.
So I'm using some more saturated brown tones.
Yeah, what's your goal for all this kind of stippling? What's kind of the end game, as it were?
So I want to create like a really rusted and pitted out like iron effect.
I mean, he is like literally digging his way through the earth.
Yeah.
He should probably be kind of gnarly and dirty.
So this is definitely going to be pretty mucked up and dirty and gross. So that's kind of my game plan here. I did this before on the Hammerklak model for the studio, so I'm pretty much just kind of following what I did there. So this is Bloodstone that I'm about to apply in here as well. Kind of stippling it in with a little bit of Umbral Umber mixed in.
Excuse me again. Get my coffee boy today. Now, are you going to like kind of follow the studio scheme? Or are you going to add a little bit of your own flourishes to it?
We'll see. Mostly this is probably going to be the studio scheme, or probably something pretty similar.
Mm-hmm. Close enough for government work, as it were.
Yeah.
And sorry, I was busy clicking around. Did we add another color to this?
Yeah. This is Bloodstone.
Wow, that would have been my guess.
And it's just kind of like your go-to process and colors for getting kind of rusty effects.
Yeah, I tend to use a lot of like oranges and browns when I do this like rust type effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of just like layering brighter oranges over like a dark brown base coat. Basically.
Have we kind of covered stippling on stream in recent memory?
I don't think so.
So stippling is like you're sort of taking like almost like a big like painter's dry brush in a way.
Yeah, so I'm taking this brush,
The big gnarly boy.
That's
big
yeah,
gnarly
that's a
brush.
gnarly brush.
and I'm basically just mashing it against my hand, or in this case, the paper towel that's sitting next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I get a good portion of the paint off,
It's very similar conceptually to like how would you would get the same kind of paint that you would do for dry brushing.
yes,
You're getting a lot of the paint off the brush.
You want a little bit more on for this because I want to create a little bit more texture. Whereas dry brushing is more you want to just hit the edges. Mm-hmm. You definitely want a little.
Yeah,
bit
you're
more
like you kind of jam it in there basically.
Yeah,
like
and
this,
I'm just
this brush lives to die a noble death as a.
Oh yeah, this brush has.
It has served the kingdom
has
well.
Served the kingdom well. It has lived by the sword and it shall die by it.
Yep. And this is very classically like we'll pick a brush that will be like your gnarly dry brush. Or
This
your
is
stippling
definitely the brush that I use for all of this type of stuff.
Yeah. So I wouldn't don't use this brush at home, kids, for your detail painting, as it were.
It's also pretty large, so it's not going to
Yeah.
be great for that anyways.
Will you often when you're stippling, will you go up and down brush sizes based on how much area you want to cover?
Yes.
So you probably have like a smaller one if you need to kind of get in there.
Let's see here. Let's put a little bit of...
Patrick Augustin wants to know what your thoughts are on adding a 50-50 mix of Thamar Black and Beaten Purple for some variance among the Umbral Umber.
Not for rust, because purple doesn't really belong. Like the way that iron rusts out, it doesn't typically have purple in it. Other colors that you could conceivably use would be, excuse me, like some very, very saturated teals. If there's
That's for, like the verdigris and stuff.
if there's some verdigris for like copper or other like types of metal. But yeah, like you want to use browns, reds, oranges, and yellows, basically.
Orange is how I kind of originally learned the technique many years ago, reading some article somewhere in Somewhereland.
Now, if you were going to be painting the Umbral Umber as a brown flesh, would purple and Thamar be appropriate for coloring?
For like a skin tone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you're painting something alien, like you can really go whatever you want with it. It doesn't have to follow any sort of rules and regulations of painting anything. Some good rules of thumb is if you're painting something alien, rooting it in something that people understand is definitely a good plan. So like, yes, it can be alien, but using reds and blues for like glazes on skin colors to kind of show translucency to the skin is still something that is very effective because it's something that people can identify. It may not be alien or out there, but people will know what you're trying to show them with your paint, if that makes sense. Hopefully that does. Jeff, did that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You're using fancy colors to do fancy things on fancy aliens and weird
Close enough.
non-human thingamabibbers. Obviously. Cephalix / Molman crossover needs to happen, says Boxy Brown on... I mean, totally real. Like, you could just... All these bits on Hammerklak could, like, totally go... Like, just, like, take off one of his arms and stick it on a monstrosity. It would be super dope. Like, his body...
Or replace his lower half.
Yeah, or keep lower half, but, like, give him, like, the arms and weapons from, like, a monstrosity. I think it'd be super cool to do that.
Becky Red says, thank you for the advice on orange for
that was
Reaper Jacks.
last week or the week before?
Yeah, I think it was last week.
I don't know. It's all blends together.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on behalf of Jordan, you're welcome, Becky.
Yeah.
I
Anytime.
remember that. I recall that conversation.
All right, so now that we've got kind of a nice base coat there, what I'm going to go do is I'm going to get in there with a little bit finer brush, and I'm going to start putting in very bright pops of color.
Are you adding this into the original mix, or is this all new mix?
This is all new. So this is going to be some Heartfire and a touch of Kato Red highlight. Also, I totally forgot to bring something up here with me today. Jeff, can you do me a huge favor?
Yep.
Can you run down to my desk and grab my palette that's down there?
Is it just a little...
It's the wet palette.
Yeah, I'll be right back. BRB, folks.
Like I said, it's been a...
Fully work, I open and close the door here.
All right, now that Jeff's gone.
Couldn't have gotten rid of him fast enough.
That's as far as I got.
Whew. I'm just kidding. Gotta love Jeff. Jeff's a great guy.
Mark Howard, what is the object you have the model mounted on? How does you secure the model to it?
This is a mic stand, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is just a mic stand with some like tack putty to it. And we're just using one of our P3 paint caps, which has got a nice little like hole in here, which is perfectly sized. So it keeps it nice and centered, and you can kind of just rotate it around.
Yeah, the P3 paint cap is a useful tool for painting, for mounting your model and holding it. The mic stand is less useful. That is just there for video production purposes to help keep the model in focus.
Yeah. All right. So one of the other things that you want to do with painting rust is make sure that you put the rust in the right areas. So one of the things about...
All right, I'm back.
Awesome.
You guys say anything mean about me on stream while I was gone?
We actually did.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to like leave you without making fun of you a little bit. But one of the things you want to do is you want to have rust is caused by water. So water collects in places, in crevices and such where it won't easily slide off of whatever the surface is. So a great example would be in these two corners down here on his back plate, rust would collect there, would pool. Water would pool and would create corrosion, which would create the rust. So this is not quite thick enough, but putting in more concentrated paint in that spot is something that is very effective to create this nice rust effect that you'd be looking for. And this is just a combination of Keto Red Highlight, Heartfire, and Bagram Brown. I would use Inferno Orange if I had it. I don't have it at this desk currently.
I really like his drill lower half. I think it looks really sharp. Like, I think it just looks really good. Like, I think the sculptors did a very, very good job on it.
Yeah, I like this model.
They look like big truck tires.
Yeah.
Grinding through.
So is there anybody out there in the chat going to be at Adepticon next week?
I think we had a couple people saying they were going. I believe Riker's Iron was going. I see him in the chat. Rikers, are you going to Adepticon?
See what else we got. Any potential stat leaks for Clampman? I don't have any stats for Hammerklak today.
I got the card downstairs.
Oh.
Maybe I'll have Jeff run down and grab it.
How many parts does Hammerklak come in?
Rikers is going to lock and load. I misunderstood.
Hammerklak is like 4 pieces. He's basically the whole body.
So the whole body is one piece.
Yeah, each of the arms.
Arm is one piece, and then this little like
his mandible
bit comes away from the face.
His little,
like
little
right
bit.
That's it. It's a pretty straightforward amount of pieces. So let's see here.
Yeah, he is blessedly like basic to assemble. And I think what's cool too is while the arms are clearly like notched to fit like that, with like the bare minimum amount of work, you could reposition his arms in all sorts of wacky, crazy ways too.
Yes, it's a really easy model to convert.
Jordan, this is one of those techniques that like I very frequently forget about. Like
Yeah.
I'll paint rust pretty frequently. I love the way it looks. It's real cool effect. It's pretty simple to achieve, but I forget about pooling and actually thinking about where that rust is going to concentrate on the model. So
Yeah,
this is
100%
pretty
totally
cool.
brand new to me. So you've learned me a thing.
Heck yeah. It's my goal in life to learn Jeff things.
Yeah, we'll have to compare things I've learned to you and vice versa.
I think you're weighted pretty heavily in that category, unfortunately.
You have a lot to catch up on.
Yes, I do.
Look at you, a little guy doing painting things. So proud of you.
God dang it.
You nerd. Yeah, this is cool. I actually had never. This was not a thing that was on my spectrum of considerations, right, for doing that pooling stuff.
Yeah, if you look at Tony could even do a real quick Google search for like rust, and it'll be very, very apparent very quickly that like rust.
Yeah, do we actually have a rust video?
concentrates.
We have a rust. Yes, we have a rust video.
Let's go find it
We
and link
have
it just
a
for funsies.
rusty rust video. Let me go. I think it was in the way back.
We have a lot of videos. I just watched you scroll for like 30 minutes. It felt like.
I know we have
30 minutes.
we have
Wait, no.
70 something.
Oh, there you go. Rust and grime. That's pretty good. That's
yeah.
kind of right in the. That's where we're talking.
I think
that a-
there's
is that a
actually
pretty
there's
good
a
video?
Wheelhouse.
there's a newer one though. I think that Brendan kind of updated it. Painting worn metal, I think, has rust.
Oh yeah, look, it's got like the orange stuff. Cool.
Yeah. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna
So
post this one.
using weathering pigments is another
I'll post
thing
them both. What the heck?
that is really, really effective.
We can only post. We have a one
and,
link
like-
per video count.
Weathering pigments is basically just chalk. Like you can go to
Yeah. Like any hobby store
and just like get
your
a
local
block
Michaels.
of, like,
Is Michael's a thing? Other places in here?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Go to your local
yes.
Michaels.
I don't know if it's a hobby store that's local to everybody, but your local hobby store that supplies like art supplies and such.
Yeah.
You can just pick up like chalk and just grind it down into dust, and you can just use that dust for things like pooling in these recesses.
Do we have a
Because the
video
cool
for
thing is-
that?
I think that is part of that rust and grime
Okay,
effects
cool.
video. I think he's using it in that video.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. It's really interesting when you watch like people who paint like their highly detailed, authentic like World War II tanks.
Yes,
And they do all sorts of weird oil.
Yeah.
And they have like these huge like their model kits. That stuff gets intense, and they put all the mud and stuff on there. Oh, that would be cool to put around his drill thing. Would be like collected dirt and mud. That'd be neat on a Hammerklak. Hammerham.
So I'm just gonna put some base coats here on the skin, just to kind of block out some of that surface area.
Huezator has a question in Twitch chat. Can you spray varnish after doing the chalk weathering?
You can. It will seal it in, which is generally a good idea. I actually don't like to, just because it tends to like mute the colors in weird ways. And weathering pigments have a pretty good tendency to stay put, especially when you're like jamming them into recesses of models, just because they don't get brushed at in that. Like, you don't tend to hit the crevices of models very much with anything, so they don't tend to like fall out.
And one of the things we talked about earlier, Jordan, was that today you are intending to do some demos on the differences between a wash and a glaze.
Yes, it's part of the reason why I'm painting the skin right now, because I want to demonstrate that on the skin. Well, predominantly the glazes.
Well, I gotta get rid of these colors. These are not accurate at all.
Because I'll tell you what, the stream goes by real fast.
I don't think I've heard that sound.
Have you not heard
I've
the
not heard
splat
that one
squish
so
sound?
loudly.
It's a very bizarre sound.
I love
And
it.
what color are you using now?
So this is a mix of Rin Flesh and Menoth White base. And because he's underground a lot, I wanted to go with like a pale and yellowed skin tone, which is why I used Rin Flesh and Menoth White base together. It's a nice little bit of both worlds there.
Yeah, it needs to get out in the sun more often.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Are you thinking just doing like silver-y stuff for the big lower drill, or what?
Yeah, probably. It gets more use, so it's not going to be quite as rusted. Because that, I presumably spins, right? So that'll not be rusted out.
Hans Otterson in Facebook chat has a question about. He's curious why we always start from a black primer. This was hobby advice that they had been given when they first started, and they've been much happier using like lighter toned primers because of the less coats it requires to get all your black properly covered. Do you have any sort of thoughts on black primer versus other primer colors?
Honestly, a lot of it is just your personal preference. White primer is really good if you're going to be using bright and saturated colors because A, you don't need to do as many coats, and B, a black base coat will darken any color that you put over it. So likewise, a white base coat will brighten any color you put over it. So if you're using bright colors, a white base coat helps with that a lot. I personally don't like using white base coats for the most part because I tend to prefer a slightly more like grungy and beat up, kind of darker,
Almost like
atmosphere.
grittier, more realistic. In
Yeah,
a way,
and I feel like the black primer kind of gets me that. Also, one of the nice things about black primer is it saves you from having to paint all the recesses.
I was about to say one of the big reasons it was recommended to me when I first started learning painting, and one of the reasons I stayed with it is white primer. If you miss a spot, the universe.
You see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Black allows you to
It's a lot more forgiving.
cheat, as it were. It allows you to get away with putting a little bit less emphasis on nooks and crannies because it's going to be like naturally shaded and shadowed for you.
Right. Well, and even in a way where it's less forgiving, but it also, when I'm painting, it feels like I'm leaving that space. It's not just if I don't paint here, it becomes a part of that process.
But in my experience, it's definitely a preferential thing for sure. And there's lots of other, you can get reds and grays and yellows and blue. You can do all sorts of crazy primer colors. I have definitely painted an army before by priming the whole thing gray and then just washing. The hair gets a specific wash and the skin gets a specific wash because it just kind of was the tone I was looking for and allowed me to very quickly and efficiently paint up a whole army.
Right. There's also one of my favorite tricks for those colors that don't have a lot of coverage, especially over something like black. Your reds, your yellows, your oranges, is colors that have white or an off-white mixed in with them typically have really good coverage. So like your creams and white go over black really well, typically. If you do a layer of the color that you want mixed with white, that will help give you an initial layer of coverage. You'll have to go over it again with your original color to get the color you're looking for, but you can save yourself a lot of layers trying to cover up by giving a couple of initial layers that take away that black.
We have what can only be assumed to be a canonical addition to Molman backstory from Doug Seacat in Twitch chat, in which he says that thankfully mole people are highly resistant to cancer. So Hammerklak should be okay with a little sun exposure. So that's canonical now.
They're not used to it. Do you think when like the first time he pops out of the ground that he's like me turning on the bathroom light first thing in the morning, where I'm just like, I got to stand there for a second and just kind of.
Does he even have?
I'm assuming
eyes
it's
to
more
see?
like a War of the Worlds thing where he gets up and immediately catches a cold and dies. No,
Thanks for spoiling that movie
your
for everybody.
human flus.
Killed by the comic.
your Hunan flus.
All right. Well, while we are on the subject of things about
Yeah.
Hammerklak, let's go to. Hold on.
Yeah, we
get
have
ready
some,
for this. Some people may know what's coming. And
It's everyone's favorite segment.
Here we go.
It's Doug Seacat's facts. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I can't even do it now.
Get yourself together.
Yeah, pull together. I clearly did not go to broadcasting school. All right, so we have some of Doug Seacat's C-facts here. These ones are definitely almost more like a little more like these are pretty challenging in the sense that these are just some cool factoids. So we don't really expect anyone to get these.
We are going to give you a chance to
Yeah, we're
answer
gonna
though,
give you
because
a
I want to
chance to-
see what you come up with.
Yeah, this is definitely explore your narrative a little bit here and come up with what sounds right to you. So.
Yeah, and if the answer is simple, we need you to show your work.
Yeah.
Yeses and nos are not enough. We need
Yep.
the whys.
So, question 1. Why is the Sabbatarian Uprising destroyers, so why are they part of the destroyer faction, why are they destroyers, if they live in the Earth? Wouldn't destroying the world be against their interests? So the question basically is if this is a mole person and he lives here on Earth, why does he want to be part of the group that wants to, well, destroy it?
Yeah.
Dolphin. The dolphin was just, it got me. But yeah, so I guess that's an interesting question because, yeah, this is like where he keeps all this stuff, right? And I guess I won't dig too deep into what I was thinking because I guess in many ways it probably kind of, gives away the answer a bit, so. But Riker's Iron says because the rest can't use the underground, only they can. That sounds perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, if you annihilate the surface of the Earth
And that's what then
and you live underground,
Ponto Hornblower on Twitch chat says to destroy the surface dwellers. Yep, that's kind of the donut factory's on the surface and they want it. That makes perfect sense to me too.
maybe it's because they're like loud upstairs neighbors. Like they're just stomping nonstop
All right, so
on the roof.
I own a condo, and the young family that lives above us have a. What's walking age? You've got kids. What's running age? What's dirtling
Running
age?
age?
All I know is
I think they start taking off when they're about 2.5 to 3 years old.
so
Just really start tearing around.
this kid from about the hours of 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. I'm pretty sure I think it must be on a leash or something because he is just running for like 4 hours every night. And it doesn't bug me. One, it doesn't bug me, and two, I have a corgi, so I'm sympathetic to the noise concerns.
Yeah.
Well, your corgi is also simultaneously the loudest thing I've ever experienced. So, let's be honest.
But man,
you're just getting payback for all the
that
barking.
kid is just running for hours at midnight, right above me.
We got some more good answers.
Maybe they're actually good guys. So this is Boxy Brown MD over in Twitch chat saying that maybe they're actually nice guys and they want the surface dwellers to experience the benefits of living underground. So they're moving the cities underground free of cost. Inarguable.
All right, let's check out the answer. Hold on, I got a new sound effect for this.
Okay.
All right.
Pull out the Foley. All right. So the answer is that the mole people, led by Hammerklak, are destroyers, since they are destructive and are fighting against Earth's defenders. However, just because they're destroyers doesn't necessarily mean that they are trying to destroy the world, but they're certainly not helping. Some are working against their own self-interest without realizing it or caring. Not that this ever happens in the real world, thankfully, says CCAT. So yeah, it's not about them necessarily wanting to like blow up the world. Mm-hmm. It's destroy the world as we know it, right?
Make it for themselves.
Yeah, maybe there's like kind of like I think some people kind of touched on that a little bit, trying to Molmageddon. Yeah, they're trying to they want the whole thing. They don't want just the underground. Maybe they want the whole shebang, right? What's the shade that's being applied?
This is Bash and Gray mixed into the base coat.
Beast Ion.
Can't make fun of my typing. There we go. Oh, I forgot the sound effect. Shoot. All right,
back it up.
Hold on. Back it up.
Turn off the stream. Let's start up again. Get a new Hammerklak. All right, should we head to question 2?
Question 2, yeah, we'll get question 2 going.
All right, so the question is does the existence of the Subterran uprising mean that Earth is hollow? How deep do Subterrans live?
I just accidentally clicked the answer to question 3, so hopefully between now and then you will forget what you've seen.
This is like...
Pretend that didn't happen. Maybe with no question, there's no context.
Maybe.
I mean, they're about to get the question.
No, they just got the question now.
Or perhaps they have to give us the question for answer 3 by knowing what the answer is.
That's how I play my Star Trek trivia.
That might be copyrighted.
All right, let's see if we got any answers. All the best Earths are hollow. Was Earth can't be hollow if Earth is flat?
Oh no.
Humanity is a very noisy neighbor. I mean, that's true. Yeah. So CCAT likes the upstairs neighbor comparison, and it's probably true. I mean, it's kind of like that's a very classic trope, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the idea that like we are, as humans, we have an impact on our environment. So how does that impact the other weird mole species that live here, right?
Sure.
Vandabeest, they're hollowish. They need space, but also stuff to practice on. Clay over in Facebook, they use the core to melt their metals for the industry. That's cool. That's a neat idea. Yeah. So Clay is basically saying no, it isn't hollow. They have the midsection just above the core. That's like the mantle, right? No, wait, no, the mantle's the outside.
No,
sorry, it's been a long time since I went to high school.
Yeah, I can't remember if there's the core, and then I think the mantle is the biggest part. It may be divided in subdivided.
Yeah, I'm sure there's very complex
but then
subsections going on.
The crust is very thin, and if I remember, it's only about 30 miles deep.
And the crust is my favorite part of most cooking-related things that feature crusts.
I'm the only one in my family who eats crust, so on pizza day, Tony's the winner.
Oh,
because I just get leftover crust. Look, don't get me wrong. I like the the stuff part of the pizza.
You like
and
the
I
wedge,
eat
the
it.
delivery
But-
wedge.
But to me, the crust is the reward that you get for having gone through the other part of the pizza.
The little sphere on Hammerklak's helmet is begging for a googly eye.
That's probably
everything looks better with googly eyes. All right, should we go? Give them the answer again.
Let's do it. Okay, well, I didn't give him the answer to this one. I gave him the answer to question 3.
Oh,
So
okay.
this answer is still going to be a surprise.
So the question is does the existence of the Subterran Uprising mean that Earth is hollow? No. The answer is. However, Hammerklak is doing his best to make it more hollow. It isn't known how deep his people have been digging or where they live, so they're kind of a mystery, right? Mm-hmm. They might be like 10 miles beneath us. They might be like 100 miles beneath us. They could be listening to us right now.
The mantle is big. They could be everywhere.
So it isn't known how deep his people have been digging or where they live. Given the scope of Earth's crust and mantle, it seems unlikely they are deeper than the upper mantle.
Okay.
I mean, it has to get like super pressurized at some point.
Yeah.
I mean,
that would make them pretty swole, though, if they were way down.
Dude, dude, he's yoked, dude. Dude, he lifts.
Do you even lift,
Like, dude,
bro?
well, Hammerklak lifts. Hammerklak's his gym name.
That's actually hilarious.
Peter, oh boy, Hoshtenbach, sorry, buddy, in Facebook, is this informal? No, this is Hammerklak from Monster Apocalypse. He is a destroyer. He's a mole man.
He has a drill for his body.
And he's got drills on his backpack thing. He's just drilling all places.
I mean, he doesn't have a drill on his face, so his body type is making me think that he either comes up in like, a superhero pose, hands over his head, just bursting out, or he has to like arch his back at the last second just to get that, to break through.
Yeah, Riker's Irons got it over there in Twitch chat. His real name is Sven Jorgensen. Sven Hammerklak Jorgensen. Yeah, dude, he's yoked, man. He shreds it. What way is he looking? Are his face clamps mandibles or a mustache? They're both. They're mustachetables.
Mustache.
No, yeah. So can you face the kind of face towards the camera a little bit, as it were? Yeah, he's got like a face plate on, and then he has like adorable little drill mandibles that I presume he uses to munch rocks.
Nom 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 nom.
Yeah.
So wait, so if he puts all this metal on, if they fabricate it and build it, then how big is his head compared to his body?
Normally,
he's extra swole.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, he does have he's
He's
got
got
a tiny head.
a tiny little head.
Yeah, his big old pecs. He also got like a little bit of a gut. All right, should we head off to?
Yeah, well, actually, what I wanted to do is
Oh,
remind people about hashtag P3 Painters.
Did we have any P3 painters?
We did.
We do,
we have some
actually.
to look at today.
Should we hit up this last question real fast since we've given the answer? And...
Why don't we save it?
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
let it
Tony
escape
Tony
your
Loki
mind.
wants them to
Let
forget about it.
evaporate.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Let's have some P3 painters.
I want you to forget my shame. Okay. So let's see. P3 Painters. Here we go. We got a video this time.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
This is
I didn't
the
know that you could do videos on here, which is dope. And B, this is a really nice studio
Scheme.
Saydash.
Yeah.
Say
Oh,
that
I
strong.
really like the. Can you pause it right at the kind of the end of it? No, it's not the end of it yet, Tony. Right there. Yeah, I really like the cloth on his back, like the reds and the the blend on
the
it.
black cloth for the like pants and shirt look really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So does the cloth for the back bits that he's talking.
And this is the junior version of the
Correct.
Zaydash before he upgraded to a bigger back thing.
Yes. Yeah, it's true.
This is tack painting from Australia. So awesome job. This is a really cool looking model. It's really good. Also, I can't when people mark arcs, I like both, like the whole front half arced, but I also like it when people have really, really nice, clean lines for their sight arcs on their bases. So, choice. Excellent work there.
Good.
That one
One
looks cool.
more.
Ooh, more Scorn. We're going. This is a Scorn.
Yeah, I'm in a bit of a Scorn mood these days, but also some really nice Scorn submissions. I really like the blades on
The swords.
the Immortal Vessel's staff.
And they really stand out.
Mm-hmm. This is Ace of Painting, and I'm going to assume that PL means from Poland.
Don't know. Ace of Paints.
But yeah, great job there. My first try in painting blue swords. Well,
and
they
very,
look really sharp.
Very painterly style, too.
Yeah.
So just kind of moving from one color to the next.
Yeah, it's got really, it really pops.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got really cool kind of chromy, like almost like non-metallic-y.
Yeah.
And then what I also like, I think what's really cool about this is how it all comes together, is how Abaddon and the attachment bro, whose name I just totally farted on all of a sudden, but how they look kind of like almost like terracotta style statues. They look like statues, and then they have these really cool like magical blue sword things.
And they even have custom cracked earth bases.
Yeah, there's been more of those kind of paints coming out and stuff too, and they're really cool. Yeah, those are nice. I also like on Abaddon how it just has like the little bits of grass sticking out, the tufts of like desert-y wasteland grass.
Reminds me very much of my first Scorn army.
Yes, actually. Good call.
Which was based very, very similarly.
Yeah.
All right, and our last one.
Oh man, goes with the effects.
Yeah.
And, dropping the fat bombs
This is
of
sweet.
mist and stuff.
This is how you take a miniatures photo.
Yeah.
It's
right
true.
here.
It's
Like,
true. Yeah.
Like, this is fantastic. This, and it's Cephalix. I have to point out, L. Dave photo, that when we did the Cephalix video back in 2014,
Question mark?
this looks a lot like how we shot it.
Mm-hmm. I think in my opinion, besides the fact that one, this looks great. So kudos. Everything about this is phenomenal. I think the part for me that like really, 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 really sells it is the fact that the bases all match like the ground that they're on and stuff. That like they don't look like they're miniatures bases, right? It doesn't look like they just took a model and put it on like the standard PP base and kind of just did it. They actually like clearly crafted bases to match this whole thing. And I would not be surprised if L Day photo here has a really cool like tray that all the models slot into.
Oh yeah,
that would not surprise me at all.
If you have that, I definitely want to see it.
Yeah, definitely. It looks great.
Dave, show us your. I'm assuming your name is Dave. Dave, show us your model tray.
His name could be. It could be.
It
Elda.
could be Elda.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't Dave assume.
Dave, assume.
Yeah, the bases are like totally. They're cut and grooved. Like they're not inset into something.
Yeah,
so
the drudge here on the right has got this big.
Yeah, they're all like custom
cobbled.
bases.
Like it looks like it's part of a street, basically. Excellent work.
Very nice, and I'm absolutely stealing your fog idea for future shoots.
Yeah, fog
go get some
plus
dry
miniatures
ice
plus photos is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
All right.
Awesome
Thank
work.
you, everybody.
Yeah, don't forget to submit some stuff. I think what is
Hashtag
Jordan and
P3
Tony
painters, yep.
pick out a couple things every week.
Yeah, we usually go through and we pick out a couple of things that are cool and
And
interesting
we
to look at.
appreciate all of your submissions. We just
Yes.
don't have time to go through all of them and show
Definitely.
all of them. We just
We
kinda pick,
see them all. I promise.
and
We've
and
seen
and
every
they're
submission.
all beloved. We just have to pick out a couple cool ones we like to highlight. So don't be discouraged. If you have something you are very proud of and you want to work on, send it to us because I promise you that Jordan and Tony sit here and they look at all of them and go, ooh, this is cool. Ooh, piece of candy.
We fight.
Yeah.
We do
fight over
fight.
which ones we wanna show.
fight
Mhm.
about,
And then
about
those
it a little
hand holding
bit.
afterwards. I get it. I know what it's all about.
Jordan,
Yes.
are you ready to do glaze and wash explanation and demo?
Yes, we can.
Sweet.
We can definitely do a little bit of that.
I said that a little too much, like it was written down on an agenda piece of paper. I probably could have spiced that up a little bit.
Because it maybe was.
I'm
Tony.
gonna take this piece of paper and just read straight from it. On Tuesday, March 19th, 2019 at 12:11 p.m., Tony Konachek wrote, "Hi, Doug."
All right. So, we're gonna do some glazes on this here skin.
Mm.
So while we were talking about P3 painters, I did some highlights with some Menoth White highlight plus Rin Flush You can kind of see it once I get it away from the glare on these like raised edges here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like how you've kind of got the musculature.
Yeah, put the
really
like
cool.
muscle fiber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on the pectoralis.
So
that looks really neat.
We are going to put in some purple glazes because glazes are sweet. And then for washes, we'll go over that in just a second with some of the armor pieces.
Give us before you get started, or as you're mixing, give everybody who may not know, give them a
brief
the
primer,
quick overview of the contrasting washes and glazes.
Okay, so a glaze is used to tint color below whatever you're glazing over, and a wash is designed to put in dark lines for various areas on models that need them. It's basically one changes the color of something underneath. The other one is designed to do that, but also like flood an area with color so that it also like darkens the recesses.
Pools.
Yeah,
right?
You want it to pool as opposed to glazes which you don't want to pool. So,
do we know what we're doing for the mix here?
It's just piggy purple, or not piggy purple. This is beaten purple.
So
beaten
for easy remembrance, kind of like stalagmite, stalactite. Do you just remember pooling, no pooling?
Yeah.
For washes and glazes.
Pooling, no pooling. Wash, you want to pool. Glaze, you don't want to pool. So we're gonna start with this purple. Oh god! Oh man, I'm getting this all over myself.
Don't do that.
You've been wearing a Mompoc shirt today.
I know.
That's the
Okay.
Brugrosh one?
It is, yeah. So we're gonna start in this like shoulder area here. This might actually be a little thick, but so now I'm gonna feather this out a little bit. But basically, I want to add a little bit of additional color. This is one of those things that's pretty subtle, so it might be pretty hard to see.
I think you
can
can see
actually
it on there. I can see it
pretty
on here.
well in there. But I'm basically adding warmth and color variation to the skin by using this glaze on it. And I can use a different glaze in the other shoulder to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. But I'm going to do a little bit down here as well.
And so all the way through from on every part of this glaze, you're able to see the original skin color.
Yeah, and
shining
you
through.
want to see the original skin color. You want to see the original shading. You just want this to change some of the color tones to what you've already painted.
And in case I missed it, we're getting asked for what you used for the mix.
This is just water plus beaten purple. Or are they talking about a different mix? Are you talking about the skin recipe altogether or just the glaze?
I believe they're talking about the glaze.
Yeah. So the glaze is just.
But yeah, let us know,
color.
Chad, if that's not the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is how. What would you say your ratio of paint to water is?
Like 20-1 in favor of water.
So like 20 parts water to 1 blip blop of paint.
Yeah, maybe like 10. It's like 10 to 20-1 depending on how watered down you want.
Do you have like a good? Is there anything you do usually? Like do you draw? Put them on your thumb, for example, to make sure that you kind of got it how you want it to be.
So I can usually tell by the consistency on the palette.
Okay.
Whether or not it's kind of to what I want. You definitely want it to like move around like a pool of water.
Is this like a melted ice cream kind of situation, or that's usually
melted ice cream is like the consistency that you want regular paint to be.
Gotcha.
Or like slightly more than that.
And for those who are confused, that's a very common trope that I've used in the years of trying to talk about paint.
Yeah.
Is about the consistency of melted ice cream.
But like this is, for those of you on the stream, this is the consistency and thickness. Or actually, I can use a piece of paper, which is probably better.
Preparing for camera nightmare, sir.
Camera nightmare.
Okay, we got it.
So this is...
It's almost like a watercolor.
Yeah, basically. So that's a glaze.
Yeah, very translucent.
Yes. Because you want it to be translucent, otherwise
Yeah.
it's going to mess around with the opacity of the colors around it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can see on his thumb right there how it looks like a
Yeah.
big old tier.
So like
of
this
his
was
painting
too
schedule.
thick. So I watered it down a little bit more and got
Gotcha.
it to somewhere around here.
Cool.
So I'll put a little bit here. I'm messing this up. Put a little bit there in the bottom.
And you have like, what are the kind of places you're trying to hit with this thing? Because it's obviously not just going to be all of the skin, right? You're not.
Yeah,
just
I mean, you can definitely use glazes over
slathering it.
an entire surface if you want. In this case particularly, I'm just looking to put color and warmth and life into the shadows. Because one of the things about that recipe that I'm using for the skin is it's pretty boring. There's not a whole lot going on there. It's just a skin tone color mixed with some yellow.
And then you kind of get on there and you move it around a little bit with your other brush.
And yeah, and I'm kind of cleaning it up, making sure it's not pooling anywhere.
It gives a lot of depth.
Yes,
Excuse me.
It definitely like gives a lot of life to what it is that you're.
It like a definition in a way.
Because like you can see on
That's
this
how my
side,
abs look.
Purple? You have purple abs?
They're just
like
underneath
how much
the belly.
definition it adds to this side versus this side here.
Yeah. That's what my abs look like underneath my
So let's
Under our
do a wash.
Under my
next.
bagel- my
What's
bagel
a good
belly.
area let's do a wash on the back here.
Heck
It's
yeah.
kind of hard to see, but and we'll do this with
Well, I got
some
some.
coal black.
Okay, and a wash is we want pooling this time.
Yeah, we
Yes.
want to heavily shade, as it were. Becky, who was our good friend from last week, asking about Orange Glow. This skin is awesome. I will use this when painting my blot thralls.
Blot thralls.
Pretty sure she meant bloat thralls. Yes, in fact, isn't using like purples very common for our Crix models?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think you would be very on point with something very similar to our studio scheme in that regard.
This is kind of the consistency that we're at for this.
So it's much heavier.
Yeah.
It is
that
simultaneously
sheet of
more
paper.
watery, and more wow.
There we
Help.
go. So like that's the wash.
That's a lot more coverage, yeah.
So and that might be a little heavy, but it'll definitely work for right now.
Just slathering it on there, just getting all
Yeah.
up in that, really exploring the whole space.
Oh yeah. So in this,
And you can see, like, yeah, as it's already starting to dry.
it's pulling into those recesses, and it's leaving the top sort of still translucent. But this is a great example of like, I'm going to do this to create this like natural shadow back here, and then I'll go back over it with some of the skin tone to kind of brighten up some highlights. Whereas on the front, I want this to tint the color because it's in shadow, but it's still being like hit with light. So this I want to be much darker back here.
Now, there's one thing that you were doing that I've never seen or thought of before is when you're doing a wash, you say you let it dry and then paint over it in the base color, but you were actually kind of like trying to remove some of it from the raised areas.
Right.
Is that a technique that you use?
So one of the things like, yes, when you lay down a wash, it's not always going to go into the exact places that you want it to. So using another brush to kind of guide it into the right position is something that's very useful to get the right type of effect that you want.
Becky comments that they haven't done glazes yet, and they're going to give it a go. Good. I'm glad that we're taking this painting adventure with Becky from week to week.
We got to see, Becky, you have to send us some pictures.
Yeah, definitely. Hashtag P3 Painters.
P3 Painters.
Yeah. And then my homie Huezator over in Twitch chat is: are you going to glaze the washed skin afterwards, or are you just going to kind of highlight over it? You think?
Just going to highlight over it.
Hammer hams.
So using this top area is a good example. You go back in here. I might actually mix some of the wash into the base coat that I'm putting in here.
Okay.
just because I want it to have a similar kind of tone.
Oh, Riker's Iron actually has kind of his version of my melted ice cream. He says not skim milk, not 1% milk, somewhere between that. So kind of like that the texture and the consistency difference between skim and 1%. That's a good way of putting it too.
Yeah.
One's water. One's white water.
You basically want the one that's water.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where you're at.
And then so have you settled on what you want to do for your Mompoc?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Do you think you want to go with either the new Krakenoctus or
Definitely not
Hammerklak?
Krakenoctus.
Because I know you and I have had many discussions.
Yeah.
You and I just need to settle pedal.
Yeah,
and figure out
I think
something
part
to
of the problem is I love.
There's a lot of
half
things from
each.
both of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of things from both that I like.
that I really like. And yeah, I've got
there's
I'm still pretty committed to my Pterosaur. I've got them like half built on my desk right now.
Yeah.
Are we gonna some spoil?
Yeah, hold on. I got the Hammerklak
We got a
card. in my
Hammerklak
hand.
card here, and we're not gonna show it to you. I'm going to read some things to you. This one?
That one? Yep.
Okay,
and then the last one.
Great. So Hammerklak has a bunch of cool special rules. I'm gonna read out a couple. This is your get hype moment, so you guys can transcribe my word face. And
You should say all of this in French, so nobody knows.
I can read some French. I can't speak French for it. I can say bouillabaisse.
I don't know. I don't think the chat's very excited now.
Yeah, I think
They've kind of settled down a bit.
Yeah. They're not really into the Hammerklak spoilers, I guess. All right,
Let's
that's fine.
save it for when they're ready.
Yeah. We don't have to give any Hammerklak spoilers right now. That's fine. That's cool. We Gucci. Should we go hit up our last C-Fact real quick?
Oh, we do have one more C-Fact. Nice.
Yeah.
Let's do C-Fact.
Whoop.
Okay, hold on.
As I break
I always
everything.
need an excuse to press this one because this one's good. Never gets old. I mean,
All right.
not to me.
All right. So our third C-Fact for Hammerklak. Where did Hammerklak and others like him get his machine parts? So where in the world, and I guess I meant that more in like a broad strokes and less like a Carmen Sandiego, did they find their like drilling arms and his mouth face?
I'm going to say a weird form of evolution, like a really weird form of evolution.
Super divergent.
Yeah.
I like the idea that maybe they just go to like junkyards and like they like dig up in the bottom of a junkyard and they're like, oh, here's an old Buick. Let's turn it.
Junkyard raids.
Yeah, well, here's an old Buick. Let's turn it into a drill arm.
I like to think that they stopped at their local McDonald's to pick up some
Yeah.
fries and just saw a junker out back and just like,
Someone's old truck.
stick it on there.
Ponto
McDonald's.
Hornblower in Twitch chat says scrap yards or the same people who are supplying the guerrilla factions. I think we've shown off some of the solicitations for some of our renders on the
Yes.
on them apes.
Yes, we have.
Underground Radio Shacks, very
Underground
likely,
Radio Shacks.
as likely as other potential responses. Plumber's supply, that's probably very true too.
An auger world.
Yep.
Auger World. Oh my goodness.
Uber Corpse dumpster, I like that too. Molten lava forges, that's pretty metal. All right, so where did Hammerklak and the others like him get machine parts? The answer is actually, there is no real answer, kind of. The answer is, one of the disturbing aspects of the Subterrans is aspects of their nature suggests some sort of advanced underground industrial capacity that has yet to be directly encountered. So we don't specifically know, but the fact that they have this stuff implies that they have a warehouse and a factory somewhere probably that's pumping out drill bodies.
Mystery machines.
Yeah, right. Surface dwellers know very little about these beings yet, so this is very mysterious. These guys just kind of showed up, and we don't know why or how. Like, there's certain aspects of like the Martians or the destroyers, the planet eaters and stuff that can be rationalized. Or, oh, it's an alien thing, right? They showed up, they want to blow up our stuff, but suddenly these mole peeps just pop up from underneath us, and they have giant drill bodies. We're like, where in the world did this come from?
Well, theoretically, somewhere in this world.
Oh yeah, Doug's pointing out my typos.
Oh, did we? Oh, there's an extra C.
There we go. Did I fix it? I think I fixed it.
Yep, just that one.
Man, got Makeda wrong, got Hammerklak wrong. Now I can't get him right, or I'm going to break my streak.
Yep.
All right, fun CFAX. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
Always appreciate you doing that every
pleasure.
week.
Now we're going back into more of the glazes, and a part of one of the kind of known aspects of especially like washes and the shades are the fact that there's a drying time involved.
Yeah, well, the nice thing about glazes is because they're so thin, they tend to dry really fast.
We have some more canonical additions to address your typos of Hammerklak. Is that Doug says that Hammerklak specifically hates the letter C.
So when you spell Hammerklak incorrectly, he is personally offended.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
From Frothy Cat in Twitch chat, is our subterrans more attracted to mates with more machine parts? Like, I wonder if it's like, part of like a...
That is a great question.
Yeah. Like, there is a sign of wealth or power. Or the flip side is maybe like the idea that, and this isn't me stating because I don't know, but maybe like Hammerklak is like either like a gladiator or like an exile.
Oh.
And he got kicked out for one reason or another.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so,
maybe all the other subterrans don't actually. Maybe he's like his own little rogue faction that has an industry, but all the other mole people are just regular old swole mole folks.
Yeah, swole moles.
All right, well, I think that's it for today. We can.
We don't need to spoil any
wrap it
Hammerklak
up.
stuff. We're good. We're Gucci. No, we do have everybody. A couple. I've got two things here. I've got two of his special abilities that I'm going to read, and no
Jeff,
one's going to
you
stop
just
me.
really want to show people.
I'm gonna I could flash the card across the camera. All right. So first off, Hammerklak does have. Actually, I'm gonna double check something real quick. Boop, boop, boop. Yep. Okay. On both this, this is an extra little spoiler. This is on both his alpha and hyper form, but he does have crunch. If you're not familiar with crunch, if we haven't,
It is Oz assured me it was a new rule.
Oh.
So he has other rules
Yeah.
that we are not revealing. Some of them are
But this is
most of them not new. These
new
are
one.
new rules.
And this one, I will point out, is present on both his alpha and hyper form. And crunch is that when you roll a super strike on an action die on one of his attack rolls, that attack does super damage. So, again, specifically when Hammerklak rolls a super strike, which is the 2.
Yeah, all he needs to do is roll a die with two.
It's got the two
strikes.
faces, which is kind of like the 6 face and on a d6 in a way. It's like the 1 and 6. So when he rolls a super strike on an action die, so the white ones, when he's making one of his attack rolls, that attack does super damage. So this is probably where his swollenness comes in.
Yeah,
Then
well,
when he's
that or the drill clamps he has for hands
Yep.
going into your mug.
Don't do that.
So he gives you the clamps for sure. And then I guess before I get to the other one, do you want to kind of show off where we are here on this?
Yeah. So.
Are we suitably dried out, as it were?
Yeah, I think we're suitably in a position to stop for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Skin on the chest area is basically done. Got that glazes in there. Got the highlights in there. Back needs a little bit of work, but it's mostly nicely shaded in there. Got some nice coal black shading in there.
There's at least enough to get the effect.
Yeah. And then the armor is basically done. We just got to paint all the silver bits, which is going to be like the clamps and these belly or the whatever you call them.
His drill
No
legs,
Yeah,
drill leg,
drill legs,
leg
fin
drill.
stuff.
So
whatever.
is he half drill, like from waist down? Is he drill, or are his legs kind of like pinioned in a?
Is
in
he like a
drill
mermaid mole man, where
Yeah.
it's like the bottom half of him is supposed to be?
Like, is it surgically removed, or is he
I think
just?
it's
Is it
removed.
like his head, where he just has tiny legs and then they're just in this tube?
I think it's removed. I don't think he's got legs.
Gruesome.
If there's a sea cat in here somewhere, maybe we can perhaps get an answer. But
We need the sea cat signal.
yeah.
Pedals to turn the drills. All right, and then kind of before we sort of finish things up and close things down for the day, let me hit up with our last little spoiler bit. So the first one was that he has a rule called Crunch, that when he rolls a super strike on an action die on one of this monster's attack rolls, that attack does super damage, so he's more prone to bopping you. The other rule, and this one's only on his alpha form, is a rule called Tunneler. So the other one was alpha and hyper. This one's only the alpha form. And Tunneler says, other allied models that begin an advance within 2 spaces of this model gain high mobility during that advance. So it's kind of the idea that as he's like burst out of the ground and he's like mole manning his way through the city, he's like leaving tunnels or he's drilling tunnels for like his little minions to get through. So again, it's other allied models that begin an advance within 2 spaces of this model gain high mobility during that advance. And yeah, it's the idea that like he's got this network or he's drilling these big
his
deep
command,
holes.
they just tunnel under buildings.
And so mobility, generally kind of conceptually high mobility is like flying or jumping or getting over things. This is the concept of high mobility as like going under things, right? Or maybe through things.
Oh, just drilling right
like,
through the
He like goes like right through a building kind of thing. There's
Without
like,
knocking
sorry,
it down,
third floor. There's like, yeah.
Boxy Brown Man wants to know, does that include other monsters?
I'm going to read it to you straight verbatim, and then I will not comment on the specifics of the rules. Other allied models that begin an advance within 2 spaces of this model gain high mobility during that advance. Juicy. I agree. It is a pretty sweet rule. I think it's very thematic, too, right? All right, Jordan, you want to kind of give us the close things down for the day, show us what you got, and show us where we're going, and tell us again that we're not going to be here next week?
Yeah, so Jeff and I will not be here next week.
I also will not be here next week. The stream.
Really?
We're dead.
I mean,
we're gone.
Get Your Paint On will not be here next week.
Correct.
Yeah.
Get Your Paint On is not happening next week.
Yeah, we don't have a replacement or anything because everyone's gone.
We will be back following the week after.
Yes.
So we will definitely be around, but not next week. Sorry, folks.
And then a dev chat is not happening next Wednesday, but it will be taken over by Doug Seacat doing a lore chat. So next week, Wednesday, 10 a.m., not a dev hangout, but we will have Doug Seacat dropping them fat C-facts.
Fat C-facts.
And then, of course...
and then actually, don't forget, other super important is Primecast is tomorrow.
Yep, tomorrow. And
so Primecast is kind of our live podcasty live stream show. And there'll be different people from different departments coming in to Shimmer Sham and hang out and talk about cool stuff coming up. And then again, remember to show off your cool models at #P3Painters.
Yep.
Send them to us. Becky, paint them up.
Yeah,
send them in.
Yeah,
everybody,
cool
show us your
tricks.
models.
So tell us a little bit, hit us up with what's going on with the model, and and take us on the train home so we can go get lunch.
Yeah, let's do that. So this guy's like halfway done-ish.
Yeah, right. I mean, so you got the rust on there.
Rust's on there.
Get some silvery bit bobs. Maybe do a little bit more work to the back.
A little bit of like dark lining and cleanup work, and then
give him a big glowy eye.
He doesn't even have eyes.
Isn't that like a single eye thing, or that just like a?
It's like a
just an orb.
No, it's not even an orb.
I mean, he is a mole.
Oh,
so
it's a bolt.
It's a bolt.
So I guess he's a mole. So they don't like. Isn't that the trope that moles are kind of blindish, as it were?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not a mole-ositor.
I don't know. That screw is either going into his head or it's tinier than we even thought his tiny head was.
Yep.
Maybe he doesn't have a head.
Oh. We'll never
Who knows?
know.
I don't know. I'm going to confer with the cat and be back later. Anyways, thanks for joining us today, guys. Look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks. And
come and hang out with us at Adepticon.
Yeah,
it's in
for those of you
Chicago.
who are going to be here. Yeah, just somewhere in Chicago. Yeah, y'all can find it. Adepticon.org.
Yeah.
Let's find out. All right, you guys. Thanks so much.
Have a great afternoon.
Thanks for watching.
Bye. Man, this salsa jams is